Hello everyone and welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. You see the NoDQ.com beach ball here. You can pick one up by emailing me at nodqmisc@gmail.com. Let's get that out of the way. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQturns20. First one today comes from Liam. Hey Aaron, do you think fans will sabotage Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, much like they did with Lesnar and Goldberg all those years ago, as George Harrison might put it? I think that there's a better chance of that happening than the crowd going with what WWE wants, and that's cheering Roman Reigns over Brock Lesnar. I think it's more likely the fans will either just stick to what they were going to do, which is cheer Lesnar and boo Reigns, or the fans might buy into this idea that Brock is really leaving this time and turn on the entire match. That I could see as a possibility, but I think if I had to make a prediction between one of the three scenarios, I say the crowd will still cheer Brock Lesnar and they will boo Roman Reigns. If by some chance WWE can get the crowd to react the way they want, I will be extremely impressed. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to be like late 2015 where for a couple of nights the fans were cheering Reigns and they did cheer him when he won the title in Philadelphia. I don't think that's going to happen at WrestleMania. I really don't. Got this one here from James. With recent reports, Brock Lesnar may get another WrestleMania 20 reaction this year. WWE is considering Rousey, Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie to close the show. Neither Ronda Rousey or Stephanie are trained wrestlers, and Triple H versus Kurt Angle are past their prime. Is the WrestleMania main event in a no-win situation? Some would argue that the final match should be AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, since it is for the WWE title, and the fact that those two are capable, at least, of having the best match on the card. With that being said, I don't think that's going to be the final match of WrestleMania. I think it'll either be the Reigns match, which, as we saw last year, actually the past 2 years, WWE doesn't care. WWE wants Roman Reigns in the main event because he's the guy, and they're going to do what they're going to do, whether the crowd craps on it or not. The crowd pretty much crapped on Triple H versus Roman Reigns. The next year, did WWE do anything different? No. It was Roman Reigns versus Undertaker. Crowd crapped on it, and I suspect that that's not going to influence WWE's decision. Now, with that being said, I have a feeling that the main event, the final match of the show, is going to be the tag match because it's got Ronda Rousey in it. It's got that star power. It's going to have the most casual interest of any match at WrestleMania from where I see things, at least. I think WWE is going to put that match on last, and you can make that argument that the women are getting to main event WrestleMania, even though it's a mixed tag. You could say, well, the draw is Ronda Rousey, and she's a woman, so women are headlining WrestleMania, and it's groundbreaking, it's trailblazing, whatever they want to say. So I have a feeling Ronda Rousey's match is going on last, if I had to make a prediction. This one comes from That's Gotta Be Kane. What's up, Aaron? Will Braun Strowman's WrestleMania plans, with his plans still being unclear, what direction would you prefer? 2-on-1 for the tag team titles, Strowman teaming with Elias, or save him to potentially face Lesnar in case Reigns cannot make WrestleMania? The fact that WWE even shot the angle on Raw with Braun Strowman winning the tag team battle royal leads me to believe that there's no concern about Lesnar versus Reigns being in jeopardy. We'll see what happens, though, because this Friday, Johnny Bravo, not the cartoon character, has his documentary set to be released, and we'll see if anything happens out of that. But I'm feeling like there's not going to be any kind of significant evidence that is going to lead to Reigns being pulled from WrestleMania. I really don't think that's going to happen at this point. So, unfortunately, for those of you out there that are not big Roman Reigns supporters, I have some bad news for you. I think he's going to be winning the Universal title at WrestleMania, if I had to make a prediction. So, regarding Strowman and his situation, I did put up a poll on NoDQ.com asking people about the match. What do they think? Who should be Strowman's partner? Right now, nobody is up there. I think it's second place, with first place being Elias. I want to see Samoa Joe on the WrestleMania card. So if he's not going to be in that match, I hope they put him in the IC title match, make it a 4-way. I think, yeah, Strowman by himself is a very credible force against the Bar, but I feel like it really hurts the tag team division by having one guy win the tag team titles. One guy is better than a tag team. I'd rather somebody be teamed up with Strowman and then build up the Bar a little bit, have them lay out Strowman or something. Maybe do an angle where the Bar does lay out Strowman and then somebody comes to Strowman's aid and sets up a tag match. Just something to give it more of an even playing field and not really devalue the tag team titles and make all the tag teams out to be jokes. I mean, the only team now that did not get defeated by Braun Strowman is the Bar. So I'm hoping that at WrestleMania, the Bar will not just be destroyed by one guy, that there'll be a little bit more to it. But we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen. Got this one here from Cruz Bandicoot. Card is always subject to change, but is it wrong that WWE keeps promoting a Brock appearance knowing he isn't there? I could see this potentially being a problem if it's done over and over. The thing is, I don't really think people are buying Raw tickets specifically to see Brock Lesnar. I'm pretty sure those Raw tickets this past week went on sale a long time ago before fans even knew for sure Lesnar was going to be there. Now, I'm guessing fans would assume with WrestleMania coming up, there's a decent chance of it happening, but I really don't think fans are saying, oh, Brock's going to be at Monday Night Raw, let's buy a ticket. I don't think that's really the case. However, in general, I don't think it's a good idea to do false advertising, and WWE should not make a habit out of doing it, because if you keep doing it, eventually people are going to catch on, and it's going to potentially create some issues with fans, and you don't want to betray the fans' trust. They see a card, they expect to see it unless there's some sort of thing that is out of WWE's control that leads to somebody having to be pulled from the show. In this case, it's a storyline, and WWE is purposely pulling Brock Lesnar from the show to advance the storyline, and fans this past week were not happy about it. Apparently, WWE was giving out Snickers bars to fans that were leaving the arena, and I think that just ticked off fans even more. So I think if WWE is going to do it purposely, they need something to make up for it. This week was bad because Ronda Rousey wasn't there either. So you had two people that are major stars that were advertised that did not appear. I personally, if it was my company, I would not make a habit out of doing it. And if I was going to purposely do it with one guy, I would make up for it as much as I possibly could, whether it's bring in another big star or do some kind of big match as a dark match or something. Just something. This one comes from TJS. Why are Rusev and Aiden English heels? Does Vince McMahon regret introducing the Rusev Day gimmick? I'd say no because of all the merchandise being sold, but when they sell more merchandise, if Aiden didn't insult the city they're in. It's like the reverse Reigns effect. The thing is about Rusev is that I don't think this Rusev Day thing was ever intended to catch on like it did. I think the idea was Rusev was going to say it and it was going to tick off the fans. You never know for sure what's going to catch on, and as it turned out, people started getting into it and it became a catchphrase and it became something marketable. Should Rusev and Aiden English turn face? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially Rusev. I mean, I don't think you need to turn both of them. You could certainly turn Rusev with his momentum and have him feud with Aiden English, or maybe keep them as heels for a little bit longer. But yeah, I feel like you could make more money with Rusev as a babyface and sell more merchandise, and maybe that will happen. Maybe after WrestleMania, we'll see Rusev get that big push as a babyface. But I feel like the longer WWE waits, the less effective it's going to be, and the more Rusev is going to cool off as a heel. He's hot. I say strike the iron when it's hot. That's just how I see it. I think the trigger should have been pulled on him months ago, December, when the Rusev Day thing really started catching on. That's when he should have turned face, break away from Aiden English, and maybe had a big push going into WrestleMania. Instead, it's looking like he's probably going to be in whatever multi-man match there is at WrestleMania, and that's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate for Aiden English too, because like I've said, that guy is really talented, and I feel like he's been a big factor in Rusev Day getting over. So I think it sucks that he's not really getting that recognition from either WWE or the fans for that matter. This one comes from Kay. What are your best tips for WrestleMania weekend? My friend and I are going for the first time. We have the travel package, so have a tight schedule, but any tips are appreciated. Well, this is a tough question to answer because I really don't know much about your trip. I don't know if you're driving or if you're taking public transportation, and I really don't know anything about New Orleans as a city. My advice would be to do some research on the area, know where the safe areas are, know the things you want to do with the time you have, and just plan out your time to the best of your ability. I mean, that's really all I can say. Now, I'm sure there are people watching this video that went to WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, and maybe they could give you some tips in the comments section, some ideas of restaurants, places to go. I mean, when I did WrestleMania 31, I drove because it was only about a 4.5-hour drive. I booked a hotel that was in a very good location. It was literally halfway between the arena. The arena was south a little bit, and the stadium where they had WrestleMania was a little bit north. The Shark Tank is the arena in San Jose. That was a little bit south. Levi Stadium was just north. It was right in the middle. So it was a very centralized location. It was actually where the WrestleCon event was. It was across the street. It was a very convenient location. So in general, for people going to WrestleMania, book a hotel that's in a centralized location from all the different points that you plan on visiting. And I would make time, you know, if you're going to WrestleMania, give yourself enough time to do some of the tourist stuff, you know, go to a theme park, look up restaurants on Yelp that you might want to hit up, try to find the best restaurants in town, ask around, you know, doing this is a good idea because I'm sure some people will leave comments and give you some tips on places to go and check out, you know, tourist attractions, anything you like to do, shopping. Try to make as much out of your trip as possible because who knows when you'll get the opportunity again, especially if you're far away from the area. So that's what I would say. And again, for those of you that did go to WrestleMania 30, specifically in New Orleans, go ahead and leave some comments with some ideas and suggestions. This one comes from Converse Craig. Hey Aaron, in your opinion, who do you think will have the better 2018 after WrestleMania? Will it be Finn Thunder or Seth Nitro? I love the names there. Seth Rollins has always had a great year in WWE ever since he broke off on his own. 2014 until now, he's had some really solid years in WWE. Maybe not so much 2016 because of his injury and the botched babyface turn, but 2017 he came back pretty strong, and so far he's having a great 2018 coming off of that big win back-to-back defeating John Cena and Roman Reigns. I think Rollins is going to have a great 2018. I could see him potentially going to SmackDown and feuding with AJ Styles, or maybe AJ and Rollins switch places and Rollins goes to SmackDown, maybe Balor goes to SmackDown. I think whoever goes to SmackDown might actually have a better year because I think there'll be more opportunity on SmackDown. Roman Reigns most likely is going to be the guy on Monday Night Raw, and the spots are going to be limited on Raw. So I think if one of those guys, Rollins or Balor, goes to SmackDown, I think that guy's going to have the brand built around him, and he's going to be right there as either the #1 guy if AJ gets switched over, or the #2 guy if AJ stays on SmackDown. This one comes from Jared J. Smith. Hey Aaron, what are your overall thoughts on WrestleMania 26, and what are some WrestleMania shows you would highly recommend? WrestleMania 26, in my opinion, was a very subpar WrestleMania. Definitely below average, in my opinion. I think Triple H and who did Triple H face? Sheamus. That was a boring match. Bret Hart, Vince McMahon, I think that match was extremely disappointing. As a Bret Hart fan, seeing him come back and not really be able to do anything, and the match just went on for way too long. It was a major disappointment. John Cena Batista was okay. I didn't think it was great or anything. I forget a lot of the other matches on that show. The one really solid match on the show was the main event, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels' retirement match. That was basically the match that stole the show, much like their match at the previous WrestleMania stole the show on that pay-per-view as well. But everything else, for the most part, was relatively forgettable. WrestleManias to check out, you know, if you're just wanting to look at 4 or 5 of them heading into this year's WrestleMania to get yourself pumped, maybe set your expectations too high by watching great WrestleManias. Certainly number 3. Number 3 is historic. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Pontiac Silverdome, Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, lots of interesting characters. Jake Roberts with Alice Cooper, Brutus Beefcake, cutting Adrian Adonis's hair. Lots of good stuff on that WrestleMania. WrestleMania 17, of course, arguably the greatest WrestleMania of all time. A lot of people would consider it to be the best. WrestleMania 19, my personal favorite WrestleMania. And then if you want to go more recent, WrestleMania 30 is a great one. 31, I was at that one. I mentioned that a few minutes ago. That's another one worth watching. So those would be my top ones. And maybe 20. Throw in 20 as well. Throw in 10 for that matter. Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Excellent WrestleMania match. One of the greatest. And the latter match, Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon. Always one worth checking out. This one comes from It's the Costanza. Hey Aaron, without Braun Strowman or Elias, WWE Raw would be a stick in the mud. Your thoughts? What about Seth Rollins? What about Finn Balor? Or should I say Seth Nitro and Finn Thunder? I think Raw has a really solid roster. I think you have a great talent pool on Monday Night Raw. The problem is the booking and the writing has been so lackluster for the most part that these guys are not able, these guys and gals, I should say, are not able to reach their full potential. And that's what I think is really unfortunate. I think WWE has one of the best talent rosters it's ever had, yet the product feels about as stale as it's ever been because the writing has been so piss poor. Hopefully the Superstar shakeup will benefit both brands and give everybody a fresh opportunity, but at the end of the day, you still have to have solid writing on both shows in order for these talents to reach their full potential. But to say that other than Elias and Braun Strowman that everybody else is a stick in the mud, as you put it, I think that's a really unfair thing to say to the talents. I think there's a lot of great talents. Like I said, Rollins, Balor, Samoa Joe, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and the list goes on. There's so many great talents on Monday Night Raw. The Bar, all these guys are great and should be in better positions than they're in right now. This one comes from Kayet Du. Hey Aaron, will you ever stop doing NoDQ videos? I feel like you get tired because you have over 1,000 episodes. Please answer in episode 1046, thank you. Well, I think this is 1046. See, I've been doing it for so long, I don't even keep track of the numbers anymore. If you think I've been doing that for a long time, keep in mind it's the 20-year anniversary of the website. So I've been covering wrestling now for about 20 years. Do I get tired of it? I mean, at times it becomes a chore to watch the shows, but I would still prefer doing this over a 9-to-5 office job. You know, this is a job that gives me the freedom to live the life I want. With a laptop, I can basically work anywhere. I can live anywhere, I can travel anywhere and work. I can pretty much do anything I want. I have a very open schedule when it's not busy, when there's not news to report on, when I don't have to do videos. I can do things on my own free time and pursue my own hobbies and interests. So as bad as wrestling can get, I would still do this over just about anything else. I mean, for me, this is a dream job, and I am very grateful to be able to have this job and be able to cover something that I've been passionate about my whole life. And it is something I'm extremely passionate about. And unfortunately, there are people out there that don't really understand that, and people that think I'm not passionate about wrestling, all I do is hate on it, and I disrespect it or whatever. They really don't get it. And that's unfortunate, but like I always say, it is what it is, and I'm very thankful and grateful to all you guys out there for supporting the site for all these years, and I really am truly grateful about it. That's all I have to say about it, and I do love this job. Despite the ups and downs of WWE, this is a job I love, and I'm very grateful to have. Got this one here from Cody, and we haven't heard from Cody in a while. Hey Aaron, old fan returning to your videos. Well, welcome back. Do you think if TNA were to go out of business, a TNA invasion could happen and work? Since the roster is mostly ex-TNA guys, the list goes on and on. I don't think WWE will ever do a TNA invasion. I think that TNA wasn't a big enough force for WWE and Vince in particular to really justify doing an invasion. Keep in mind, Vince didn't even think WCW was a big enough deal to go over his guys even for a short period of time. The WCW invasion failed, and WCW at one point was beating WWE in the ratings. WWE never mentions TNA. They try not to. Every once in a while, there's a little tiny reference, but WWE for the most part has ignored TNA's existence. So I don't think if WWE acquired TNA, they would do anything. I think maybe WWE would pick up a few talents and maybe do something with those guys. I'm not sure how much of a push those guys would get, but I think WWE would pick up a few guys. But I think they would just be interested in the tape library, and we would see Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles in TNA on a Samoa Joe DVD or something like that. And that would be about it. There wouldn't be much else to it. TNA just wasn't a big enough brand, I think, for WWE to really invest the money in doing an invasion storyline. And even if they did, based on history, you know how the result's going to be. You know the end result is going to be those TNA guys. They're not going to stand a chance in hell. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate your support and viewership. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will see you guys next time.